Whoops, sorry about that. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is Mr. Pacina talking, and I'm happy to have you here joining me back on this Photoshop alternative that we're using today called Photopea. Now, if you haven't watched the first video, I recommend watching that because we're going to be working off of that. I will touch upon some of those topics that we discussed last time, such as creating color fills and whatnot, but if you haven't used this program before, you're going to get a little bit lost, so I recommend watching that first, just to get your play started. So right now, checking my stream, making sure that I'm recording, that everything's good. All right. I don't see anyone on the views right now, but do know that I will be putting this up on YouTube as well as the Facebook and all that. So if you can't watch it live, no problem. Just be sure that if you have any questions, send me an email for later on. But what you see on the screen right now is what we're going to be using today. We're going to be building this basically. But first off, some housekeeping. I remember that I did not teach anyone how to save their work. That's my bad. Like, I was so excited about teaching you guys that I forgot how to get you guys to save your work. So if you go to File on the top left, I think my icon right here is near my icon. If you see it, click on File and Save as PSD. Once you click on that, it's going to automatically save it, or it's going to ask you how do you want it to save it. I named mine Fortnite Llama Example. That's because that's how I'm going to be referencing this. But I already have a copy, so I don't need a new one. Just be sure that when you name something, it's something that you can remember. Because if you go back to my downloads, like, there's a couple of them in there that aren't named correctly, and I'm not sure what they are. So I'd have to open them up one at a time to see what they are. So just be sure that you're naming things what you're going to remember they are about. So the object of today is line art and colorization. So line art, if you want to think about it, it's kind of like a coloring book. If you remember, coloring books have these very dark lines all the way at the end. Let me show you. They have these very thick lines, and you're supposed to color in these things on the inside of them. That's basically what we're doing today. But do know that this is a very powerful technique. This is to get you started. But eventually, the goal is to do things such as what you see right now. All of these are originally black and white photos. This is colorization. This is taking a black and white photo and restoring it and adding color to it to give it life. Like, some people say that, no, this is black and white. It's supposed to be black and white, or it's a style of its own. But honestly, back then, they didn't have a choice. They could only shoot in black and white. And honestly, giving color to this gives it life, in my opinion. It gives it more to the story. So again, originally all of these were in black and white. The first one here is Japanese American college students being relocated to a Japanese internment camp 1942, originally in black and white. Someone took the time to give it color. No, you don't only have to use old photos. I know that in your family that there are photos that have been taken a long time ago, and family, it's either been damaged. Let me see if I can find an example of a damaged photo. There it is. So like, it's been damaged, the edges are tattered or discolored, and your family would like them to look brand new. Or it needs some touch up on the color because it's been washed out because it's an old photo. You can absolutely restore it, and you can enhance it and colorize it as well. But today, we're getting our feet wet. It is the start. This is where everything begins. So right now, doing a quick check on the chat just to make sure that everything is good. All right. So first things first, you're going to want to find something to work on. Like I showed you last time, open up a new tab, go to Google, and look for an image. I'm going to stick with the llama from Fortnite. So Fortnite llama. So I'm going to go to images. Notice that these automatically are already colored. So we're going to do something special. Remember last time I showed you tools under here in the search bar, tools again. We're going to look for something that's large, and under type, this is where it's important to distinctly different for line art. We're going to go with line drawing. And when you click on line drawing, it's going to pop up all of these like color book like images. So all of these things should be things that we can work on. This is very important here. The one that I selected right here originally is not transparent. Again, this one originally is not transparent. But first off, let me show you why that's important. So let me find one that is transparent. Let's go with back to Naruto. Transparent and line art is already selected. So let me see if I can see one that I like. So again, it'll take you some time yourself to find one that you like or you're interested in. Let me see this one. I'm a little bit interested in this one. Piano. And I have to go find it. That one was not the original. So I have to go back and find for it. Here we go. It says PNG Wave, line art drawing. So there it is. So let's download it. Download it right here. And we're going to open it. That's the download. It's the same one. Yes. And there it is. Let's do a quick test to see if it's actually transparent. If you remember from the first one, you open up a new layer by clicking new layer down here. It gives you the new layer. Going to your paint bucket tool, shortcut is G, or you just leave this clicked until you select paint bucket. White is already selected, and just drop it in. Now our entire layer is all white. We're going to drag that to the bottom, and there we go. Yes, this one is transparent. So this is the one that you want to work on for the first one. So for our llama example, I'll show you that later on how to turn any picture that's like this with a white background or a different background and how to turn it into just the lines. That's what it's called, line art. We just want the lines. And the lines need to be entirely close. That's important. Just be sure that all the lines close all the way. This is going to be important when we're coloring in. But first, let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to do a very quick example of what this could be. So I'm going to be selecting the magic wand tool. It's going to be your fourth tool over here on the left. Shortcut is W, and you're going to change it from object selection to magic wand. So now notice that the icon is the magic wand. There we go. Now it's selected his entire hair. I'm working in the background right now, not on layer 1. So make sure that background is selected, because if you're on layer 1 and you click on the magic wand, it's going to select the entire thing. Notice that the entire thing is selected right now. To get the magic wand off, you just click again, or when it's selected, you right click. Again, you right click by using the right mouse. If you're using a Chromebook, then you would have to double click or right click and then click deselect, and then it deselects it. You know that it happened because over here in our history, it says that you deselected. So let's go back to our background, our lines. Let me rename that. I'm going to change that background to lines. That way we know that these are just the lines. So magic wand is selected. We're on lines. I'm going to select the hair. This is important because if you notice right now, it's selected almost all the white. It's missing some of the white. So what we're going to do is right click, modify, and expand. Again, you don't have to right click over here in this hair. You can right click anywhere and it'll still show it. Modify, expand, and between 1 to 3 pixels is what you want to do. I go with 1 because Photopea is very sensitive, so I go with 1. If you're working on Photoshop or another program like that, I would go a little bit higher, but Photopea is very sensitive, so I'm going to stay with 1. Click OK, and now notice that it expanded a little bit. Let me undo that so you can see it again. I undid that. Right click, modify, expand by 1 pixel. And there we go. It went a little bit out. This will save you some time having to color things manually. And I will show you that in a second. So now it has everything selected. I go to layer, new fill layer, color fill. And I know Naruto's hair is blonde. So let's go with a gold blonde. Okay. And now it's colored in. Notice that some of the black lines are being removed by the color. This is because we need to have lines all the way at the top. Notice the difference. This is lines in the middle, and this is lines at the top. You want the lines at the top because the lines are hard border. If the line stayed right here and we wanted to add more color to this, like let's say over here, well, we just removed some of our lines. But if lines is all the way at the top, you wouldn't be able to remove the black lines. You would have to draw all over. You would draw over them, but you wouldn't change the black. So that's why lines needs to stay at the top. Let me undo some of this. There we go. So lines is at the top, and all my color will be in between layer 1 and lines. So again, notice that I missed some of this white up here. So what I would do is click on this black mask right here. This is a mask that we created. When we created a new fill layer, it created 2 things. 1 is the color and 2 is the mask. The mask is what we selected. So if you can see right now, there is some black and white inside right here. So make sure that you click on D right here, default, so you have white and black selected, and you have your brush tool here. Shortcut is B. If you don't have that, just click on this brush tool and click on brush, and now you can paint in. If you have white selected, that means that you're adding color. Let me show you that. If you have this selected, that means that you're adding color. If you have black selected, that means you're taking away color. So I can do this, or I can honestly also just erase. Whoops. Never mind. So just stick with the black being erase and white being add. So I'm going to add this in right here. And this is a little bit confusing, I know. Like for me, it takes a little bit getting used to of that you're painting with the color white. What is that? What are you talking about? But yes, since we're working in a mask, that is how we need to do it. So white is addition, black is subtraction. So let me just get all the edges. And yes, it's a good idea to get all the edges that you can. Oh, I went a little bit over. So I'm going to go select the black to erase this. There we go. Change that back, brush back to white to add this. Normally you wouldn't notice it when you zoom all the way out, but you as the creator, the designer, like when you zoom in, you're going to notice it. So it's mostly just like pet peeves, perfectionism, but you want to make it look nice. And yes, all your little details do matter. Like this is what changes you from being an amateur to a professional. It's in the details. It's like, did you do everything you could to make this look right? And if you did, then and only then can you be proud of this. Let me see. And yes, this will take a little bit longer than the last one because this is all about the details. This is all about the little things. Well, I don't like that. Control Z to undo it. And if you notice that I'm going too fast for you, you can always just rewatch this part. I will be putting it up on YouTube as well, and you can slow down the speed of the video. And if you find my voice annoying because you just want to see what I'm doing, you can always mute me because I know I don't have a perfect voice. But again, feel free to watch this as many times as you need. Send me any questions that you have. I'm here. I can help to make it look good. So one thing you'll note about hair is if your hair is one color, your eyebrows will be that same color. I didn't do it the first time on purpose. No, I'm kidding, I forgot. But this is a good way to show you of what if I want the same color somewhere else? Well, no problem. You can do it one of two ways. Number one is just draw it in. Like literally what I'm doing right now is just drawing it in. I still have the white selected. I'm still in this mask right here. I'm drawing it into that mask. There we go. It wasn't a very big spot, so it was pretty quick. But let's say that, well, you didn't actually like Naruto's hair that way. So let's change it. Like it's too bright, it's too dark. Like I want him to be a, it's like once you start changing it to black like this, you really start noticing where like you missed some stuff. So that's good for you. But if you're fine with it, just click OK. And notice that it changed both this hair color and the eyebrow hair color because I just drew that in. I added it to the mask tool right here, to the mask that we were making. So now the eyebrows are a part of it. So let me undo this to show you a different way. This is the quicker way. So go back to wand, go back to lines. The reason that we don't want the wand inside of this color is because if we click on it, well, then it's going to select the entire thing, and we don't want that. So right click, deselect. Wand tool is selected. We're going back to lines. I'm clicking on his eyebrow. And notice that I only got part of it. So I want the other part as well. I'm going to hit shift. I'm going to leave shift clicked. And notice, and up here, when you click on shift, it's going to tell you something about unite. If you click shift and then you click again, it's going to try to find it. It's not doing a good job right now because Photopea, like again, it's free. It's not a perfect software. I don't like that. So I'm going to try it again. Shift and try to click somewhere neutral, like all this white. There we go. It selected it in the better one. So I right click, modify, expand by about 1. And now I go back here, brush, and now I'm just coloring it in. And notice that I'm going over, like, let me show you a different example. Like I made the brush type gigantic right now. But even if I click, it's only going to draw in what the magic wand selected. So even if I have like over here drawing, I'm clicking right now, but nothing's happening. Only what's in there is being drawn in. That's what the magic wand does. It limits what you can change on something. So like only in here is a canvas I can change things in because the magic wand is selected. If you're like, but I want to do something over here, again, just right click, deselect. And now if I'm using the brush tool, well, then I can go everywhere else. So again, once the wand is selected and only you see this little like onion type layer up here, you can only work on that layer. But once you deselect it, go back to wand, right click, deselect, back to brush, then you can add more to it. I'm going to also add his eye color as yellow. I know that originally it's blue, but I'm going to go with yellow for now, just to save a little bit of time. So again, we have just this top done. Let's go with, if you're not sure, like you want a reference photo, like of course, just have a reference photo of like, that's Naruto. Like Naruto, Hokage. And let me just go with everything because I just want a reference photo. I just want to remember what he looks like. So yeah, there we go. Like I was trying to remember how the hat looked and it was red and white with a white trim on the edge with a little bit of silver right here. I just wanted to remember what that looked like. If you want that exact color, you can also bring it into Photopea. Let me show you that right quick. So I just save this image. You don't need the entire image for this. You just need a reference one. Go to File, Open in Place. Open that file you just got. It'll open it up. There he is. And then click on the eyedropper tool. The eyedropper tool will select the color that's the exact matching to what you click on. So now it has that color selected. I just clicked on that red because I want that exact red. It's more purplish here, or maybe magenta. Either way. So now I have it selected. I can go ahead and hide that because I don't want it anymore. Go back to wand. Select on, oh, sorry, I have to be in lines. Remember, you have to be in lines when you're using the magic wand. And now it has all of this red selected. Right click, modify, expand by about 1 pixel. Hit OK. Now it made the selection bigger. Layer, new fill layer, color fill. It already has it selected over here, but if it didn't, like let's say that it selected that red over there, or it had a different color already there, you can just click on this red and it'll have that red selected in your color picker, and click OK. There we go. Now that color is exactly the same as the one that they used over here in the show. That's one quick way of just getting the exact colors that you want. So now I don't need this anymore. Actually, I still do. But once you don't need it anymore, you can just right click and then delete it so that it's not in your picture anymore. If you don't want it anymore, you can always delete it. But I recommend just keeping it there in case you need it later. I still need it for this other red over here. Like, let me move that a little bit down. Like, this other red is a different red, I think. So let's be sure. I'm going to go click on the eyedropper tool. Select this other red. And yes, if you notice, that's slightly lighter. It's a slightly lighter and brighter red. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to hide this again. Go back to the magic wand. Select the letters. Whoops. Again. Sorry. Move that in between. Let me move this Hokage reference. Let me just rename that to reference photo. That way I know what it is. And I move this color fill to the middle, because remember, always have your color fill in the middle. I'm going to go to lines because I need the magic wand to select the letters. I clicked, I hit shift and leave it clicked to select all of it. So now I have, whoop, that selected more than I wanted. Control Z, shift and try again. Too much. Shift and try again. There we go. It might take you more than a few tries to get it right. It took me 3 tries to get it right. It might take you more, might take you less. It always depends. Right click, modify, expand by about 1 pixel. Click OK. And there we go. Go to layer, new fill layer, color fill, and that other red is already selected, so I just hit OK. It's not perfect, remember. Let's move that down into the middle. It's not perfect, so I'm going to go into the black layer. I'm going to hit the D for default, changing it back to white to the default color. Go to the brush, and I'm painting white right now to add in color. It's not good. Let me make this size a little bit smaller. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Notice that everything is really pixelated. When you zoom in a lot, it will get like really pixelated. So Control plus to zoom in, Control minus to zoom out, and Control 0 to resize it, to just get like a perspective of everything. How's it coming along? So here we go. Let me add some here. Doesn't look perfect. But I did some over here. I can always just click on the black and then add it out or paint it out. There we go. And again, this does not look perfect. This is my first pass. I'm always going to go back to like, well, does it look good over here? And I'm like, yeah, kind of. I can do more though. So I'm like, I zoom in a little bit. I'm like, oh yeah, definitely I can do more everywhere. So that's where my final pass through would go through, of like just adding all the little details. So we're going to keep moving on. We're going to add the gray to here, and then I'm going to stop with this one and then show you the Fortnite llama. Go to lines, click on the magic wand, click on the part that you want to fill in. I want this, shift, and I want this. I want 2 things. If you accidentally like clicked on something additional like that, like right now this this and this is selected. So like, I didn't want this. You can click on Alt. If you notice up here on the top left, it'll say subtract. If you hit Alt, this actually removes that from the selection. So if you click on that again, again, Photopea is not perfect. So it's not working right now, no problem. You can always just undo. So Control Z to deselect it. Notice it's now deselected. So I only have this and this. If you're like, it selected like a lot of things that I didn't want, I would just start over, right click and deselect everything. Try again, have this selected, shift, have this selected. You can also work in a little bit at a time. I showed you like the eyebrows. You don't have to use the magic wand at all if you didn't want to. But this is just a quick way to get a lot of things colored in. It saves you a lot of time. Layer, new fill layer. Oh, sorry, I forgot to use the color pickle. Sorry, I just watched Rick and Morty, so now I have that in my head. Pickle Rick, damn you. But go to the eyedropper. Go to the reference photo. Sorry, the reference photo is underneath the layer, so you can't see it right now. There we go. I move that up. And I want this gray right here. Select it. So eyedropper and select on that gray. That changed it. I don't need the reference photo anymore. I'm turning that invisible. Lines come back. And now if I do the new layer, new fill layer, color fill, it'll have that already selected. If it's not, just click on that. And there we go. Again, even when you zoom out, you can tell that there's a bunch of white in the outlines. This is because I forgot to do something. What did I forget to do? If you were paying attention, you should have noticed that I did not expand. This is why we expand. It saves us a lot of time. So Control Z to undo that. So now we're back in our magic wand. Go back to lines, right click, modify, expand by about a pixel. There we go. Now we have a little bit more of the edges selected. Go back to layer, new fill layer, color fill. Click on that and notice the difference. Like before we had a lot of white in the borders. Now there's a lot less. There's a lot less noticeable. That means that that's less work for us to do. So we go, if we want to add like more color to right here, because you notice that there's a lot of white here, you got to decide of, do I want to add this color over here, the red, or do I want to add more color here, the gray? And yes, you can absolutely add black to it right here to the lines, but then you'd have to mess with the main lines. Oh, sorry, there we go. So you'd have to decide, do I want to add, like this is literally adding things to it. Like let's say I'm in lines right now, let me turn everything else invisible. Like this is the original. If you're like, this line over here came out a little bit weak, so you can always like draw it in. This is not perfect, and this is to show you that this is not really recommended, not for a beginner at least. Like if you have a tablet, you've been doing this for a while, like yeah, of course, like you can even make up your own. Because right now I'm using a mouse and this is not straight at all. And like once you zoom out, you can pretty much tell like, yeah, that's not like what you want. So let me put everything back. Well, not that reference photo. So again, for here, I say that the red actually is what I want to add to it. So I go over here to color fill 2, my red. I click on the mask, go to my brush, click on my default. White is to add, black is to subtract. So I want to add things to it. Add the white selected. Brush is here. So let me add that here. And remember that lines is at the top so that we're not erasing those lines. Like we don't add from the thickness of the lines. What we're changing is only that area that we didn't get when we expanded. The reason that I only tell you to expand by about 1 pixel is because if you go too far, then it's going to start bleeding into the other color over here. And it might change that original color. That's why I don't like going farther than 1. At least that's what I've experimented with in Photopea. Photoshop will be different. Every program you use will be a little bit different because every program is a little bit different. But again, that would be the start of mine. I would love it if you guys would send me what you make of just to show off, and I can see that this is being effective of how you guys are doing. Or if you just send me something that you can say, Mr. Piscina, I don't know what I'm trying to do this, but it doesn't exactly work. Can you do something to it? Or can you try to find out what's wrong with it? So yes, this is especially effective when we go to things like this. This is my Fortnite llama example. And again, let me turn everything back on. Of like, that is what it looked like at the end. And I'm gonna show you what I do everything to it from start to finish. So let's go back over here and find it again. So like, I'm just gonna go back to the main one and go to Fortnite llama and show you exactly how to do it from the start. Go to images, tools. Let's go with Lineart. I'm gonna leave the size the same because I want to find the original one that I found. I think it's this one, super fun coloring. No, it's definitely gonna be a different one. Notice that some people like add their own logos even up here, even though they didn't get it, like they didn't originally do the line art. Yeah, you're gonna see that a lot, which is one of the reasons why I teach you guys how to erase things. Like, this is the original. This is what, well, no, that's not the original. This is the original. And I'm like, if you didn't like this up here, I can show you how to erase it. That's one of the things I'll show you right now. But let's see. I think it was this one. I hate getting things from Pinterest. But let's see if this is a good one. Let's go to Pinterest. Let's go to printandcolor.com. There it is. Printandcolor.com is up here with a big watermark. I don't like that, but let's show you how to remove it. So save it. And I'm going to put that in Photopea. File, open. Click on that file you just opened. Oh, I just broke one of my rules. Sorry, guys. Back to this. File, save as PSD. Notice that it just saved it again. Show in folder. And I'm going to rename this. I'm going to go with Naruto Hokage line art example. Always name things how you want them to be remembered. So that's what I put in. Notice that even if I do the test, new layer, go to the paint bucket tool, have white selected, paint it on. Even if I do this, you'll notice that this is not transparent. This is just lines and black lines and a white background. So we don't even need this. Well, let's delete it for now. And let's just say you put it in there. Your question right now would be, how do I turn this into just the lines? Because yes, you can do the same tricks that I showed you of just to paint this in. Like right now I'm in the background. I'm gonna show you right quick. I'm gonna select this, this, and this. I'm gonna add that there and there to show you just very quickly. Layer, new fill layer, color, well, sorry, I forget to expand. Let's show you correctly. Expand by about a pixel. There we go. Layer, new fill layer, color fill. And let's make it blue. Clicked OK. Wow, oh, it only painted one of them. Let's add more to that. Go back to background. Let me undo that. I wanted to add a lot of it. That blue, that blue, that blue. That's going to be blue. And what the heck, let's make his ears blue too. And I expand by about a pixel, making sure that everything I wanted was selected. Layer, new fill layer, color fill blue. Okay, and there we go. So you don't exactly, excuse me. So you don't exactly have to like make the lines like that. But remember what I said about painting over the black lines? Like this blue went over the lines. And even if you move that down, like now we've lost the color. This is why the lines are important. Like these are sharp black lines. This is what we want. When we do it like this, our lines don't exist. Remember this up here, lines, we don't have this up here. We just have the plain background that has everything and color. So it's not going to look out very well. Honestly, it'll look something a little bit like this. Like if I kept going like that, this would be about what it looks like. And it doesn't look very great, guys, in my opinion. So that's why lines are important. That's the difference. This is a step that I'm about to show you is how to create these lines. So let me undo all of this. There we go. Now we just have the plain background. This would be like I just opened it from the start. In fact, I can just open it again from the start. That way I can show you. There we go. Like that one didn't exist. We didn't do anything to it. So first things first, we want to remove anything we don't want in the final product. So I don't like this watermark up here. I don't like this website. So I'm just straight up going to delete it. I'm going to go click on the eraser tool. Shortcut is E. I'm going to make it bigger. Hardness is at 100%. And just go over it. I forgot. Never mind. We're going to do it later. When we have all the things selected, we're going to do it there. So there are a few ways you could do this. I'm going to show you the easy way, but a different way would be to just remove all this white and then turn it transparent and then do it all like that. I don't want to do that. It's way too much. So let's just do it this way. I would do what's called a color range. You click on this little magnifying glass right here next to account. It's your find and type in color range. Once you start typing it in, you should see the options right there. Click on color range and you'll see this little toolbox right here where it says fuzziness. Try moving it up and down to see what you get. And notice that it goes dark to light. This is a good print. It's very high quality. So no matter how, so even if I do go like very high up, you can still see the lines. And if you don't, like, this is how much you're going to be doing right now. 0 is you don't want anything. Honestly, that you're going to have to experiment with this a lot because it honestly depends on what original thing you use. I'm going to try it out at 128. That's just a random thing that I clicked on. Okay, now it's selected. I go on layer, new, layer via copy. Let's see how it turned out. It selected the opposite. So this is one difference between Photopea and Photoshop. Photopea does a good job sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. So it didn't turn out the way I wanted. I'm just going to delete it. Back to color range. And let me try, well, let's stay with 128, but let's mess with these numbers over here. Let's go with plus. Layer, new, layer via copy. It's still doing the same thing. So I'm going to try something right now called the inverse. So let's do the color range one more time. 128, doesn't really matter here mode. I'm going to leave it at plus and right click. Oh, sorry, go to magic wand, right click and inverse. Now we're going to make a new layer via copy. Let's see if it did it. Ah, there we go. And sorry, this is a workaround that I had to train myself on. Like I did not know how to do this a week ago. So I'm still new to this because again, I'm not 100% used to Photopea, but it worked out pretty well. Now I only have the lines. This is exactly the same as my original over here. Like this is what I downloaded, like, excuse me. This is what I downloaded it right off the bat. And now I made this right off the bat. So this is good. This means that we can work with it. And remember what I said that I wanted to erase some things? This is where I would go to the eraser tool, make your size what you want, leave the hardness at 100, and just delete this up here. There we go. If you don't want this over here either, you can just also delete that. Just be careful you don't go too much, because now, well, you deleted some of the lines. Control Z to undo that. But let's say you didn't want it, so let's remove it. But let's say you did want it. I do want it, so I'm going to leave it there. This background is just going to be for reference. We're not going to be doing anything to the background. This is just like I hated everything I did, and I'm going to go back to the beginning. Our background doesn't work anymore. Well, doesn't work for us anymore. So let's rename this lines. And remember when we started, we had a white background layer as our background. So we're going to do that too. We already know that this is a transparent, but we're still going to add that white. Add a new blank layer and add that white in here. You might be thinking, Mr. Priscina, this looks exactly the same as your original. And you'd be right. The change here is, if you remember, is now our lines will not get erased. Because again, remember, we don't want this. We don't want our lines to be erased. We have to protect our lines, and lines have to be, line art has to stay at the same, at the top. So let's keep that at the top. And now all our color is going to go in between. Click on the magic wand. Let me see. I'm just going to do it right quick. I will be ending this show in about 5 minutes. I'm not going to be doing everything here. I do want you guys to continue on your own and then show me what you got. If you're one of my students and want to have it like brought up in the discussions when we're talking about classwork, I will bring it up. It didn't select anything because I'm not in lines. Mr. Priscina, learn to do your job. So let's go to lines. Click on that. Click on that. I'm going to be working on his head right now. I'm leaving shift click so I do the entire head. There we go. Now I have most of the head selected. Do I want his ears to be the same color? Yes, I do. But just this outside. I want it to look a little bit realistic. So I'm going to go with right click, modify, expand by about a pixel. Go to layer, new fill layer, color fill. And let's go with purple. I'm going to go with purple. There we go. And again, remember, some of these lines are getting removed. So I'm going to move this color to the middle. One thing I do recommend is using a folder. Over here, if you notice, like you don't see all of my color, that's because I put it all in this folder. Like all of this color is what I did. Like right now, if you notice that I would click on folder, new folder, it's down here next to the trash can, next to the layer. Click on new folder. I would rename that folder my color folder. There's nothing inside this folder right now. If you click on this little arrow right here, you're noticing that there's nothing in there. I'm going to drag my color inside the folder. There we go. You don't see the color anymore. That's all you got to do is click on the little triangle right here, and there it is. This is because this is just to stay organized. Or even later on, like once you get to the end, like everything is colored and you want to add shadows to it, like that's what this was here for. You want to add shadows to it. Great. Now remember the trick of just create a new layer, rename it shadows, click on Alt. That's the keyboard shortcut. ALT is on your keyboard, and click on the layer. This will make it a clipping mask to what's ever under it. This clipping mask is special. Let me show you right quick. Let me make it big so you can notice it. Wow. Let me paint in black. And I'm just going to leave it all like this. So like notice that you can see it right now. This is just so you can see it. This is not what you want to do. But you can see how it's shading things in. I'm going to do that. This is just a very quick shadow tutorial. You've already done this in the previous video, but you turn the opacity down. You turn the hardness to 0, and you change the size to what you think is right, and then you start shadowing it in, going through it once, going through it twice, and noticing that none of the background is being changed right now. I'm only changing the color. I'm adding a little bit of burntness, to the color and just to the edges. This is what separates you from 2D to 3D, and it gives it a bit more depth. If you didn't make a folder, this is going to be a lot harder to do. So like, let's say that this is not in the folder. Let's work over here. Let's turn off this shadow, and let me take something out of here. Like now this color fill, see, what is this? Let me select a different one because I want you to notice it. Yes, this blue over here. Let's say that this blue is not in the folder. Like you don't want to make a folder, you think it's too annoying. Well, let's add shadows. Layer opacity is at 10%. I have the brush, I have the black selected, I have the hardness at 0, I have the size that I want. Well then, notice what's happening. I'm adding shadows to the background, and that's not what I want. So even if I do this and I pair it to this, great, but the shadows are only on the blue. What about the other colors? I recommend doing the folder because it lets you add the shadows to all of them. And even if you just want like the shadow over here, like you want it just to this one over here, like let me see, that's that. You can always add a layer inside of this, pair it to this color only, and then add the shadow to this over here. And noticing that I'm going over it, but it's still only adding it to that color. See the difference? So I recommend having a folder and putting your color inside of that folder so that when you go to shadows, you give it a little bit more depth and it's a lot easier to work with. If it sounds complicated, that's because it is, but just go with it. If you have any questions, again, feel free to send me a message. I have all my, at the end, you'll see all my handles on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, etc. I think this is also on Twitch. I'll see what happens. Anyways, this has just been a very quick tutorial on Lineart. Next week, I'll be showing you colorization and restoring photos. So I'll be giving you a sample photo to work with, and then I'll be showing you how I restore it and how I add color to it. For me, one of my first photos that I worked on was this one. This is the MGM lighting when they recorded him like roaring when you went to go see a movie and you saw an MGM lion roaring. Like this is the origin. To me, like this was an important piece of history because I love movies, and this line was an important part of that. Like it represented the company, and this is the moment when they did it. And I was like, this is cool. I want to work on it. I want to give it color. I'm going to give it a little bit more life. And that's exactly what I did. In Photoshop, this is what I did. It's not perfect. Like you notice that it's a little bit too pink, and like some color is there's too much color here, and like should that be green over here? It's not perfect, guys. A lot of what you do won't be perfect. Like I'll mention skin tones in the next one, which is like 5 videos in of itself, but this is just to make it look okay in your eyes. Like to me, it looks okay. Like at the very least, I think I nailed this wood color. Like so long as there's one thing you can be proud of, like you've done something good, because you can always come back to this and like change some things. Like originally I didn't have this, like this is what I did originally, and I'm like, this looks a little bit flat. And like when I had more experience, I can add some vibrancy to it. I can add some curves to it, because after that I learned about them. You can always do more things to it, so long as you go to File, Save As, PSD, and it saves all your work that you did after Photoshop. If you save it as a JPEG, that's it. Like you can't undo anything there. If you like, actually I liked it originally like that, then you can always do that in a Photoshop file. But again, next week I'll be talking about colorization and restoration. So like up here, well, it doesn't look exactly right. In Photoshop, it does have the spot healing brush, which is pretty powerful in and of itself. Just do that. And it tries to heal it. Go back to the background. Yeah, I want to work on that. See? Like this white shouldn't be there, so I'm going to try to change that. There we go. Now it's trying to fix it, so to speak. It's not perfect. Nothing ever is. But I'll be showing you the version on Photopea on how to restore those photos. Because again, there are a lot of photos that are damaged, and you have photos from your own family that you want to fix. So I'll be showing you how to do that. But just remember that you follow the previous video, this video, so you know what I'm talking about when I get to the third video. Thank you. This has been Mr. Piscina. Have a good day, and hope to see you again. Tell your friends. And remember, I do stream at Tuesdays, 2:30 p.m. Central Time. If you're in Texas, that's you. There are some things changing with my school district of like my time because I'm working from home. Y'all know that struggle. And this time might change, but for now, that time is set. I'll be doing it at 2:30, or I'll be putting out a video at 2:30. So either way, you'll have something to see from me on Tuesday at 2:30. And there is one video up on Piscina_streams on the YouTube channel. I'm not sure there's an underscore on there. Let me show you. But either way, there is one on there for the previous video. For this one, I will be adding like shortcut commands and all that. So let me show you right quick. Like in here, if you go to Piscina_streams, yeah, that's me. And there's a free Photoshop alternative, Photopea 101, photo merging and photo compositing. Like that is the first video that I put up. If you don't want to watch it on Facebook, it's also here. Facebook, it's also Piscina_streams or at Piscina streams, one word. It's dual casting to this and the Twitch. I don't know if I have Twitch open right now. Ah, there it is. So the Twitch is Piscina_streams as well. The videos are there. If you just want to see the entire thing. So again, thank you. Have a good day. Hope you guys are holding up well. Again, the reason that I'm making these is to give students or even adults something to do, something that they are interested in. And yes, now I'm going from showing you guys how to mess with things to actually do this for. This is an actual skill that I use, and there's quite a few people that actually get paid to colorize old photos. Like I said, like there's a lot of families out there that want their old photos of like, can you do anything to this? Like, this was my grandmother who passed a few years ago, and we'd like for you to restore it, or can you add color to it? And this is what she looked like. This is what she was wearing. This is the color of her dress. These are the color of her eyes. I'm like, yes, of course, that's what I'm gonna be teaching you next week. At least the basics of that to get you started. And yes, if you can't wait, I've looked that up on YouTube. There are many tutorials out there right now for that. A lot of them are more complicated. I'll be teaching you the quickest way that I know to get you started. But again, that's next week, 2:30 p.m. Central. This has been Mr. Piscina. Thank you, and have a good day.